You see?
Now I was just asking, what's the need? What would be? Because I'm studying Moorish history, like how you was talking about yesterday, the Moors in Spain, the Moors out of West Africa. So is that still credible? And because I'm tying in, when I'm studying stuff from hundreds of years ago, I'm able to tie into a lot of stuff that's going. That's how I understand 9/11, and now I understand how they set a lot of traps. So I know what not to do and what to do by studying our past. Because when I see the Moors, I see the whole Christendom versus the Moors versus the Corsairs. So I'm like, these are we you know, and I'm seeing how slavery actually came out of the conquering of the Moors. So by seeing that, I'm like, I won't run into their system to try to identify myself because I know that it's a war and it's always been a war.
But studying Moorish history is a personal thing to understand what you were.
Of course.
You see what I'm saying? What you were in that particular aspect. But the Moors didn't study no fucking Moorish history. They studied the shit we talking about now on this advanced metaphysical stuff. They the one that brought the occult sciences to the West. So you're not studying Moorish science by studying Moorish history. That's personal. I went through that. You see what I'm saying? You know, but the point about it, to be stuck on that as a tool of somehow being valid as valid as a liberation tool now, you know what I'm saying? It's just a feel good. I mean, you can't do nothing with it. Yes, you got to understand, and that's the first level. So we do that, but my point here is we always coin shit into a damn religion. And a religion is doing the same thing over and over again, and that's called insanity. The Moorish science, that's what I'm saying about what you call it right now. You study the history, but you say, what is the Moorish science? So when I tell a person to study King Arthur and the Round Table, that was brought to them by the Moors. And then the British tried to usurp it and say it was an actual history of their country. You see, but that came out of Hemmitt. So if you want to study Moorish history, you want to study the science, study King Arthur and the Round Table. You want to study the Moorish science, study Goetia, the Moorish seals, the greater key of Solomon, the lesser key of Solomon. You study Kabbalah, brought to Spain by Moses Dion. You study Kabbalah. You study the disciplines, not the history. The history is just a doorway to say, okay, we understand where this education comes from, but you study the disciplines. The Tarot was brought into Europe by the Moors. You see what I'm saying? Brought into Europe. The Kabbalistic system brought into Europe by the Moors. All the metaphysical disciplines was brought into Europe by the Moors. You see, that's Moorish science. Not Noble Drew Ali. And not the history. The history is one aspect. That's just a doorway to let you know, to identify the people who's about the science. None of them niggas won't even touch nothing that's dealing with Moorish science. You see what I'm saying? They saying Moorish science, and you giving me a fucking pamphlet. A pamphlet is a chapter in a damn book. And the word university means a consortium of books.
Yes.
You see. So my point here is, you're going to do it. The occult movement was brought to the West by the Moors. Not the history. The Moors was not in Spain studying the history of themselves. Hey, look how I drink this tea. That's what you see. So that's what that's about. Yeah.
So just basically, what we're doing now is participating in the Moorish sciences. Those of us who study the occult.
That is the Moorish sciences. We didn't get nothing right tonight.
Yeah.
This stuff that we talking about was brought up by the Moors. So you do the Moors. If you want to be a Moor, you would study astrological, astronomical, metaphysical, any kind of thing that's dealing with the occult. They had. That's what they had.
No doubt.
So what they did was to how this was done. They had regular academia and the 7 liberal arts of education. That's the stuff you got now in the colleges, in the high schools, or what have you. They had that. But they also had, with the people that go through the basic education, liberal arts training, they went into the occult. You see, now the Europeans now do the model of that by, on a ceremonial level. They'll do it by fraternities, which don't teach you nothing because they don't want the masses to know. But then they will have other occult thing like the skull and bones or what have you, where they get into greater stuff and all and emulate the Moors or whatever type stuff. But if you go back to Spain, you did the several liberal arts and education, but they also studied the occult and all what it is, and that's more science. See, not some shit but I'm sovereign and because I got a piece of paper to say that I'm an asshole. See, yeah.